Eddie. Welcome back to Ed Local. And second guest, had him briefly with us last week. It's Matt.
Hi,
Matt
everybody.
Callahan.
You saw my head come into frame for a split second and then backed out.
Yeah. So Matt is going to be one of our producers on this show.
I'm excited.
He's going to be helping me out with some editing and kind of giving me some pointers and all that. And so I'm like, you know what? Let's interview Matt. Let's talk to Matt. So he's been very, very helpful in this past couple weeks getting this up and going and giving me pointers and everything. So, yeah. So, welcome, Matt.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for bringing me on to help produce. I mean, my background is basically being a movie lover, a guy who watches a lot of film, a lot of TV.
Yeah.
And my brain definitely goes beyond what I see and go, oh, this is a sick shot. I wonder how they did that. And, oh, it'd have been cooler if they did this kind of thing. So
we'll get into it, but Matt and I are the movie club that I started, 2021 during the pandemic. And it's been kind of going strong for the past couple years. I think we're on year 3, And so, but, like he says, like, dude, your mind is just running. And he gives me different angle to, like, kind of think about and, like, just kind of observe, just his thought process, And, yeah, dude. So I wanted to kind of get to know you a little bit more. Matt's a local guy, born and raised in Santa Cruz County. Matt and I went to school together, middle school, went to high school together, played football in high school, and so after high school you went off to school, came back, so we'll just kind of chat about that journey, So
yeah.
What's let's start off with like you're growing up in Santa Cruz County, Um, obviously this show is about Watsonville and the 831 in the area, but you obviously grew up here and you've been to Watsonville a lot. You've been a part of a lot of stuff, So what it was your, I guess, experience growing up out here?
My experience, basically as far back as I can remember, is I did grow up in Watsonville for a little bit. I grew up in Winding Way, right down the road from where we're recording. Can't remember the year we moved from there, but I mean, it's a short move from Winding Way to the little town of Corralitos, which is kind of like its own little entity, its own little community out there. But right down the road is Watsonville. So, I mean, I have been around and stuff, and I don't know, my background would more so come from just playing sports with everybody and stuff like that. I grew up doing the Jr Lifeguard Program at Capitola Beach, which is an awesome program because, like you said, it's a community-based podcast. So I've met and experienced summers with kids from all over Santa Cruz and stuff like that. The beaches included, say, Manresa, Capitola, Twin Lakes. So that's a huge community in itself of beach lovers and beach goers. So as I can remember, I always said, like, I was like a hybrid growing up because I could throw a surfboard and go out and surf, or I'd call up my buddies up in the mountain and be like, what are we doing? We're going to go shoot. We're going to go ride dirt bikes. So I don't know much more to get into in that kind of sense because, I mean, I've been all around Watsonville.
And you mentioned, you live in Corralitos now. You moved there. And for those who don't know, Watsonville, Corralitos, Aptos, right? What would you say? Like, how could you describe Corralitos? Because I feel like it's part of Watsonville, and in a big way, but it's still like people consider it its own thing, So what do you think? Like, and it's outside of the city limits, so technically city-wise, but like, people growing up here, it's like, dude, it's like right there.
Yeah, people are always saying Corralitos. Oh, where's that? It's like, well, it's not far at all. It's a stone's throw away from basically where we're standing anywhere.
Yeah.
Like I said, I did Capitola Junior Guards, and everyone's like, oh, you come all the way out from Corralitos? That's far.
Yeah.
It's like, not really. It's 11 miles from here. Like, everything in the I would say everything in this community of Monterey, Santa Cruz, Watsonville, don't really think of anything as distance.
Yeah.
It's all about time.
Yeah.
It's easy to think that way.
Yeah, and I love what I love about this area is that we're so close to everything, right? Because you had mentioned you go to the mountains, you go shooting, you go to the beach, and I think Watsonville's in the
super prime
location where like everything's in distance, right?
Definitely distance.
I mean, I remember growing up, right? Parents would take us to the beach. Beach is right there. We would go Easter events and like just gatherings in Mount Madonna, which is literally in our own backyard.
Yeah.
So mountains are there, beaches there. We wanted to go to the city. 50 minutes. You know.
You can touch the outskirts of San Francisco on a nice day. I mean, the one thing about Watsonville, I mean, it's kind of getting worse in my opinion when it comes to like traffic lights, and just it's like, why are they putting that there? Because when I say it's all in a matter of distance, it's like, oh, that's 5 miles that way. Because you're not expecting to hit 5 traffic lights.
Yeah.
You're not expecting to turn a corner and be like, why is there fucking traffic? Sorry for cussing. I'll cut that back a little bit.
You're good.
But it's like, yeah, why? But so, like you were saying, like in Corralitos when I grew up, it was, oh, it's a beautiful day. Check the surf. Boom, 15 minutes to a good surf break. Go surf, which I need to start doing again. Or it's, oh, there's terrible weather, but I'm up in Corralitos where I'm away from the clouds. So there'd be days where I wake up, beautiful sky, lovely weather, and go, I'm not really going to go into town today because I can see the storm. I can see the fog. I don't want to go that direction. Or it's like you're in town and you're like, I'm just going to go back to the mountains because just a little bit of an elevation brings you to beautiful scenery, or it's down to the beach. But in general, just the area is beautiful.
Yeah.
And if you want me to go into more Corralitos and stuff like that, like it's a community out there as well. Like you said, Watsonville, Aptos, Corralitos. We're all a big community, but we are all sub communities.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's beautiful in that sense where it's like if Corralitos has events, everyone's welcome to come to those events.
Yeah.
And there's been amazing events growing up. One still going on today is the pancake breakfast, the lumberjack pancake breakfast.
Yeah.
People come from everywhere to go to that. And that's like, I think
I haven't been to that in a while. It's like a long time.
Well, I think COVID kind of put the hush on a lot of stuff, but it's coming back. I mean, I think the most they ever served in a day was like 4,000 people.
Wow.
But with that event, there's so many events around it. Like the local houses are putting out garage sales, and you get to talk to locals and see what's going on there. Or everyone's coming out with their art, what they're working on and stuff. So there's booths, and you can see the community behind that. With the Women's Center, it's the Padres Center, it's the church next door doing something.
And a lot of people hold events there at the Corralitos Grange?
The Grange is a very, very cool location. Not a lot of people utilize, but you can rent it out for
weddings, birthdays,
barbecues,
everything. It's
music show.
Oh yeah, it's a beautiful place.
Yeah, there's so much going on, and that's why I'm stoked to help you with this podcast, because it's like scratching the surface is only going to show you more surfaces to scratch.
And you know what? One of my favorite places in Corralitos is that park that they have. It's off of the main road.
Aldridge Park, right by the Grange?
Yes, Aldridge Park. And it's so quiet. It's so peaceful.
Yeah, it's just right there. It's surrounded by houses where their fences are backed up to it, or some have little gates that you can just walk out. I mean, there's a lot of little secrets that you just have to stumble upon, and you're like, oh, I didn't know this was here. Or, you know what? Nobody's going to be there.
Yeah.
Or some days you'll show up and there's a birthday party, people playing tennis, somebody's got a horse in the horse pen that never gets used until you see somebody in it. But
I love to go to Corralitos Market. Right there is a little market
That's
right there.
That's a staple.
It's a staple in Watsonville, and hopefully if we could get someone eventually to, talk to about that works there, the owner or something, but that place is known for their sausages. I'd always go there, grab some sausage, hot dogs, and just go to the park and just hang out with the family and all that. Just such a peaceful day.
A little to-go sausage sandwich, and then, you could walk to the park from the market, just up the road this way or up the road that way, and just hook a left,
You know what I just found out not too long ago? That if you're a hunter and you go hunting, right, you get your kill, you get your whatever you're hunting, you can bring it back to them, and they butcher it for you and they prep it for you. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
No, it's a beautiful little market for that sense, because you go up in the mountain, you get your limit on whatever you're hunting, your buck, your turkey, your boar, which is, I always say like Corralitos is like, if you want to find like the real countryside of Watsonville, kind of head that direction. But I mean, it's anything at the base of this mountain is a lot of like where the country meets the ocean.
Yeah.
Because we got that little gap between the actual cliff side and the mountain bottom. But yeah, I know it's crazy. Yeah. You go to somebody's house, you're like, what is this? And it's like, oh, this is a deer I shot last week. The market turned it into jerky sticks. And you're like, no way. But it's delicious. Or, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity there. And just to go back a little bit, when you brought up like the difference between Watsonville and Corralitos, like I grew up, I lived in Corralitos. My driver's license said Corralitos on it, but then we somehow with like rezoning and stuff like that, now my license says I'm Watsonville.
Okay.
Even though I've been at the same house. Yeah. I recently moved, but being out there, it's like, oh no. But then you look at like, I even checked it out. It's like, what's the grid that qualifies that? Yeah. So it's like where I used to be a actual Corralitos, California address, I'm now a Watsonville address, but then you get the one road past me, they're still Corralitos. Yeah. And then like one road past them, I think it all comes down to like the electrical grid system and stuff like that and how it ties in.
Because it's crazy because like the other little towns around the area, so La Selva is considered Watsonville, you know, and then Royal Oaks, which is technically in Monterey County, is considered Watsonville as well, you know. It's like the outline that, you know, like how they have it all set up, you know.
Or in the sense of how many locations fall underneath the area code 831. And I think that's kind of like the staple of, I would say, this show is like anything that falls under 831 is what we're going to talk about. Because like you're saying, like that's considered Watsonville, that's considered this. But I mean, most people can come from looking outside in going, well, isn't that just Monterey County in general? Like the whole coast is Monterey. It's like, we're not really.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's like if you say Monterey to me, I'm not thinking like the whole cove of the bay, which
is thinking Monterey.
Yeah, Carmel down that way, which is like, in my opinion, like that's where
Salinas still. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Salinas is Monterey County. And
you know what's crazy is that Hollister, which is more inland, is part of the 831. And it's further out, but Gilroy, which is literally over the mountain in Mount Madonna, is 408.
It's just weird like that.
And then, again, like I was saying, Royal Oaks is in Monterey County, but it's considered Watsonville. But Pajaro, which is literally just like a bridge over, is considered Monterey County.
And I think that goes back to what we were talking about, where it's not time, it's distance.
Yeah.
Because it's like, that's right down the road for me. But it's considered what?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, in 15 miles, you can hit a lot of places that are considered their own thing, but they fall underneath the Watsonville umbrella.
Have you ever like seen those residents? Like I was watching this video not too long ago, where it's like one side of the street is the United States, but literally across the street is like Canada,
like with state lines.
Yeah, state lines.
It's
and
crazy.
Country lines. You know, it's like and you don't even need a passport. So I find that interesting, like the zoning and everything, how they figure that out, you know?
It's a straight line some places and it just cuts through somebody's property and you're like, oh.
It was, and then again, that same video I was watching, like the United States and Canada, there's just like little massive land that's considered the United States. And then for those people to go to school, they have to cut into Canada, right? And then go through the whole process of going to another country. And then it was funny because they said that to get out of there to go to school now, it takes like 3 hours. You know?
But that's a border of two countries.
Two countries, but like just that whole, you know, outline and just like, you know, zoning and everything. It's funny.
That's why it's always funny when people just start like, you know, talking about stuff. It's like, oh, that's not here, that's not there, that's not whatever. It's like, well, everything falls under the blanket of like. Like I had a friend come to town one time and I'm like, well, because most people, if I go, I'm from Watsonville, they go, oh, I'd never heard of it. But it's like, if I say I'm from Santa Cruz is a big name. It's on a lot of, everyone knows of a Santa Cruz something. Yeah. So like I had a friend come to town and he's like, I thought you said you lived in Santa Cruz. I'm like, well, technically I do in a sense. And he's like, well, this is Corralitos. I'm like, yeah, but like look on the map. I'm at the base of Santa Cruz Mountains. Yeah. It's like if I had told you Corralitos, would you have said, oh, I know exactly where that's at? It's like, no, sometimes you have to broaden the stroke.
And that's so hard for me because, like, you know, I love my city, obviously. And so people are like, "Oh, where are you from?" I'm like, Watsonville. Where's that? Like Santa Cruz County. You know, I lead up by. I always try to lead by Watsonville. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh well, my thing is like, okay, you know, the apple cider Martinelli's, like that's where I'm from. And
right
then they're like, oh, okay, like, you know, and then that
Driscoll
starts,
strawberries.
yeah,
People
that,
are always like, oh, that's where it's from. It's
yeah,
like, yeah, Driscoll strawberries is huge.
yeah, and that's how I sparked that conversation, you know, and it's so cool because like Martinelli's is like everywhere in the world,
Yeah.
right? I think a couple years ago there was a big old thing on what was it, social media with it wasn't the girl from Stranger Things, Millie Bobby.
Okay, Millie
So,
Bobby Brown.
yeah, so she started like, you know, drinking Martinelli's and did a whole video where that one bottle where like they bite and it
Oh, the
sounds like
plastic
the
bottle.
plastic bottle
sounds
you
like
bite it,
the
it
crunchy of an
sounds,
apple.
yeah. So like I'm like, dude, that's where I'm from, you know. So that's pretty cool, you know. So I always
Yeah.
tell people, I lead people, hey, I'm from Watsonville. Oh, like, well, Martinelli's apple cider, you know.
Oh, that brings up a funny memory because like I said, I watch a lot of movies. So I think it was a movie called like Julia and Julia, or where it was like Julia Child's cooking movie based on that. I forget the actors, but there's a scene where the husband puts down a bag of stuff,
Yeah.
opens up some strawberries, and boom, it's Driscoll's logo right there. It's like,
okay.
oh, no way.
Yeah.
But as you point that out to anybody, they're like, "Oh, those are just strawberries." It's like, no,
those
but
are
that's a
Driscolls.
name right
yeah,
there.
that's a brand right there. That's Watsonville.
Anywhere here, it's like Martinelli's. It's like, yep, I know that.
Yeah. So
It's fun in that sense because, yeah, like I would say with the title El Local, you can always find out who's not really a local because, like you said, we start with like local stuff.
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Or like even directions. It's like, you know that Big Red Barn? You're going to take a left at the Big Red Barn once you go down that road. It's like, and a lot of people in small communities and towns can say that.
Yeah, yeah.
But as small as I think this area is, it's not.
Yeah.
But that comes with just living here for a long time. And it's like, hey, man, I'm all the way in the west side of Santa Cruz. You want to cruise over? It's like, I know what time of day it is. I know how the freeway is going to be. Boom, that's a 15-minute drive on a good day.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe hauling ass a little bit, but in a sense, it's like, yeah, it's just a huge community.
Yeah.
Substructures amongst it, but
and you know what's cool too is that everyone knows everyone. Like in Watsonville, it's not a small town anymore. It's a big city. You know, it's not a big city, but like a medium-sized city, where it's like everyone knows everyone. But then now, as I'm getting older, it's just like I've met people throughout the years, or you know, even playing sports, right? You come across people and they're like, oh, you know this person, you know that person. Like in Santa Cruz County, like it's small.
It's very small.
Yeah, because I have a teacher that I work with. She's like, oh, do you know this guy, the one I was telling you about a couple weeks ago? He's like, oh yeah, I know him. You know, and got into this big old conversation. It's just like, oh, dude, like small area. You know? So,
yeah, and I think it brings up like a funny thought because it's if you meet people that you know has lived in the area that you've never met, I think the conversation usually starts out with a lot of like short questions to it's like calibrating your friendship off the bat. It's like, oh, you went to, like I said, with the junior guard program. It's like, why do you look familiar? Did you do junior guards? And just saying junior guards streams that whole length of beach.
Yeah, and one of our friends that's on our movie club, he did junior guards too. And when you told him, like, you guys like went to this whole conversation and like, oh, you know, this person, you guys barely miss each other, you know, on the time you guys were there, but like,
we already had a lot of commonalities, right? Yeah. Which is what is great. Like you said, sports. We grew up in sports. It's like, how do I know you? It's like, most conversations I find when you come across somebody's like, oh, where'd you go to high school? And then that, like you said, narrows down who you might know in that circle. And then that narrows it smaller. And then next thing you know, like 5 minutes into like a feeling each other out conversation goes, I met you that one time. That's why you look familiar.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's lost in a lot of the rest of the world in a sense where it's like, talk a little bit until you find a commonality and then you can just blow up from there.
Yeah. And that's why, you know, I'm not big on big cities, you know.
Fucking do not like it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the fast pace of it. I mean, it's cool to visit, right? Because I mean, the Silicon Valley is like over the hill. We're able to go to San Jose and all that, you know, Santa Clara, that whole area. But just to be there full time, like I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
Like the Watsonville is the perfect size. You know, and Santa Cruz is just a little bit bigger than Watsonville, but like the perfect size is Watsonville.
Yeah.
You know,
because like in a sense, it's like, which way do I need to go? you see that way over there?
Mm-hmm.
Just keep heading that way.
Yeah.
Or what is it? I always tell people at the top of the mountain over here, it's that giant radio tower.
Oh yeah.
It just sits right up there,
Yeah.
flashes a little bit. Most people like, just.
Have you been up there?
I haven't been up there in a long time, but it's one of those
But
things.
you've been up there.
I've been up there.
You know how to get up there.
There's a lot of those side trails and stuff like that. It's easy to get up there if you know how to get up there, but in some sense, it's like if you make the wrong turn in the wrong car, you're not gonna have fun.
Yeah,
and that's where it's like the country life is a little bit there. It's like you got to get a truck and go this way. But
I've always wanted to get up there. A buddy of mine was like, "Oh yeah, I've been up there. They see everything, right?
It's a beautiful view.
I mean, everything from all around. Like, I want to get up there. That's one of my goals up there is to get up there.
So what's fun is if I'm ever, like you said, if I'm ever on the backside of Santa Cruz, on the other side of the mountain, San Jose, Gilroy, all that area, and people are like, "Oh, where are you from?" And I can see that on the top of the mountain. I just go, "You see that? I'm on the backside of that."
Yeah.
And to them, it's like, "Oh, that's cool." But to anybody else who lives in this area, it's like, "Oh, no way." And they could probably say right off the bat, "Oh, right where Corralitos is at." And it's like, "Yep, exactly."
Yeah.
Because it's Mount Madonna Road. It's like there's a lot of little cut passes over the mountain. Like you said, from our mountainside to their mountainside, it's a whole area code change. And in some sense, a lifestyle change. Because to them, it's like, "Oh, I have to go over the mountain." Like, I try not to go over the mountain that much, but it's a quick trip.
Yeah, it's cool. You kind of had mentioned the Jr Lifeguard Program that you did. How long were you doing that for? Well, what started you on that path?
I think what starts anybody on that path is parents looking to get their kids out of the house for the summer. And because I remember that being the case at the very beginning, where it's like my mom had a job, my dad was working, and it kind of got like it fit my mom's schedule to where it's like we get dropped off, she does her day, comes and picks us up, but at the same time, like, you can stay at the beach if your parents trust you. But more so, it's a part of like the life around here is like it's either you're a landlocked person or you're a beach goer or you're a little bit of both. But for the Capitola program, I started when I think I was either in the 6 or 7 age range, because it starts 6, 7, 8-year-olds, little guards, B, C's, or C, B's, A's, double A's. You can go through your whole life in that program, and each beach is different in some way. But I think I just got into it for just to break up the summer monotony, because I can always remember when I, like, in those years where it was like, okay, I know what I'm expecting this summer. It was like, there's been a lot of summers where like, I don't want to do it. Like, it's boring. I don't want to be at the beach all day. Like, kind of throw a little hissy fit. But at the very end of the summer, it's always like, I just met a bunch of new friends. Like, I had a great time. Like, you advance through the program. Oh, this summer we were taught like board rescues. Or we got to like, oh, this summer was more fun because I could rent the Bennett boards to go on like long paddles. Or there's just a lot of stuff about that program that I really like. But I think it just came down to get out of the house. It's a fun little summer program. Because I did it, like I said, from 6, graduated the program, stayed on as an instructor where I taught. And I did that for, I think, 6 or 7 summers. And that's a whole coin flip, too, going from in the program to then instructing the program.
Well, was it a hard transition for you? Like, you're a participant, and all of a sudden now you can't really have – I mean, you still have fun in a different way, but you got more of that responsibility.
Well,
you know?
There's definitely a lot more responsibility, because it's like you're going through the program going, there's somebody watching my back. My safety's considered. I got to just look out for me having fun and do what they ask and go through the workouts and all that. But when you become an instructor, there is still the fun. There is still we're going to go out and work out and have a good time. But you get trained now on like, okay, the safety aspect. Like, all right, well – but it opens your eyes to a lot of like what in the program, what the instructors were doing while you weren't really paying attention. Because, you have to – all of a sudden you're now in charge of 40 kids on a crowded beach, and you're one of 5 other instructors having to control this group of kids on a crowded beach, get them to do a workout, get them to do some kind of practice of a skill we're going to advance further in the program. Like, oh, these little kids, we got big waves today. Well, guess what? We're going to have to teach them now how to do a dolphin dive, which So it's like, okay, well, how do we do that? Like, are we going to do, hey, we're going to do a game up on the beach, bring kids down in smaller groups. That way it's more one-on-one. Because sometimes, like, I remember going through the program going, we're doing that today? Like, this is nuts. Like,
And a lot of those kids, like, this is like their first introduction to like swimming or anything like that, right? Like,
some kids come having never been in the ocean before, and I've definitely like met some, like, as an instructor, I remember walking up to a kid and I'm like, hey, like, well, most every session starts with a swim, like a checkout swim.
Yeah.
Where basically the group you're going to instruct, you're going to put them on a swim that shows who's capable, who's not capable.
Yeah.
You kind of get in your brain like, okay, well, that kid did it, but he struggled, so we're going to have to keep an eye on him. Or it's like, hey, let me talk to your parent.
Yeah.
Like, hey, sorry, your kid might be better off at a pool. And it sucks to turn kids away because they come, they see the other groups of kids, they see what fun can be had. Because, I mean, you put a little kid in a pile of sand.
Yeah.
They can figure out something to make them giggle. But it always sucked to be like, hey, we think you need to take your kid to some more swim lessons at a pool. They're not comfortable. It's like, oh, well, they swim in a pool. It's like, yeah, but there's a difference between
a pool and
an ocean with currents, with waves, with undertows, with riptides and all this stuff. So, and then you kind of lay that out for them. They're like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
Did you ever get any backlash, like a parent where they were very difficult because you had to have that conversation with them?
I think it came more down to just what I was saying, where it's like, they see that their kids can doggy paddle in a swimming pool, and they're like, oh, he swims. He hasn't drowned in 15 minutes of swimming. He should be fine.
Yeah.
But it's like, hey, but has your kid ever done an ocean swim where the water is, at its own temperature every day? You don't have a set temp on the pool where it's like, you ready to go to the 65-degree pool?
Right, yeah.
I mean, even that, some people might say is cold. But, I mean, I remember there's days where the ocean water was warmer than the air because of just 3 degrees, and it's like, guess what?
Yeah.
We're gonna spend all day in the water because it's warm.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the sense of like parents, I mean, if you come at a parent with their child's safety in mind, they can't really come at you.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I mean, if I were to tell a kid or a parent about their child, it's like, hey, your kid struggles. I mean, you can say in the sense of like, he gets what we ask done, he does everything, but he struggles to the point where a set of eyes has to be constantly on him, and that takes away from the safety of the rest of the group. Or sometimes it comes down to just a conversation with the kid, being like, hey, are you going at this pace because that's all you can do? Or it's like, hey, are you just kind of being lazy? Because there's been plenty of times where it's like, oh, this kid can't swim very good, but then I go, well, no, I saw him during free swim where they just get to play being a little fish, like all over the point. So sometimes you just have to talk to the kid.
Yeah, it's every kid's different, and
Or sometimes you have to break a little bit of the connection between the kid's thought process from the parent's point of view and your thought process from being on the beach. It's like, hey man, like, did you like getting wiped out by that wave? No, I didn't like getting mauled by that. It's like, well, did you do the dolphin dive we taught you to go safely under it? Oh, I forgot how to do that. It's like, well, why do you think we trained you to do that? Like, dolphin dive is for your safety. Or it's like, hey, when we tell you to high knees out of the water and run, that's because you don't know if like a swell's going to hit in the 5 seconds you're not paying attention. Like, never turn your back on the ocean. Look back, hustle out.
Did you ever have to save a kid save a kid from like a current or something like that? Or like, do you ever have an experience where it's like, dang, like,
if I wasn't there, something bad would have happened?
Yeah.
I would say yes, but the biggest thing that comes out of the Junior Lifeguard Program is when, like you said, like, you advance out of the program. So when you get to like when you're 16 and 17 years old or in the 18-year-old program, you're doing a lot more physical training, and you're actually getting trained more so to kind of then come back. Like, I got hired right after I completed the program, because at the very end of those years, you're going to be taught how to basically be an instructor if you want to come back, or think in the lines of being an instructor, or sometimes we have to then stay behind after our session's done and help with little kids in the afternoon. Because it's like, hey, we need extra help. Or at the same time, it's like, you're going to see what we're going through and the seriousness of this. But, I mean, as for like saving little kids,
Or just how about just anyone in general? Have you ever been out there and you're like, oh man, that person's drowning?
Go out and get them.
Go and get them. Like, you ever have a moment?
There's been plenty of moments where it's like, but like that also comes down to like being prepared. Because, and I've been to like competitions where it's like there's multiple beaches coming from all over the area, and we're all on a very unknown beach to ourselves, and you can kind of see where the level of training and the instructing comes from other beaches. Because the biggest thing when it comes to lifeguarding that what I was taught and that I kind of go through life with is it's not about like, oh, I did a gnarly save today, or it's like, oh, we went out there and we got this done. It's like, or we saw a kid and he was drowning, we saved him. But it's like, I chalk up my accomplishments where it's like I prevented something from happening. Where it's like I saw a little kid struggling close to shore. Maybe I'm going to walk up and be like, hey, buddy, are you okay? Are you a good swimmer?
Yeah.
No? Maybe be a little closer to shore where you can constantly touch.
Yeah.
It's like maybe if I hadn't talked to him like that, where it got in his mindset, it's like, oh, if I can constantly touch, I'm a lot more safe.
Yeah.
Or in the sense of like, rather than just standing there going, oh, that kid's drifting. Now he's panicking. Now it's a full-on save. Because like there's been times where I've been at the beach with my lifeguard tube, in my lifeguard stuff, watching my kids, hearing parents and tourists on the beach. We call them general public, the GP, the general public on the beach. I remember one time there was a dad standing next to me talking to his son about the ocean. And I had to interrupt.
Yeah.
And I literally remember telling the dad, I'm like, hey, what you just told your son is going to get him hurt. Because like I said, we teach kids at a young age how to dolphin dive, which is if a big wave's coming, you dive underneath it because that wave will pass over the top of you and you'll come out the other side.
Yeah.
This dad was telling his kid like, oh, well, when a wave comes, you have to jump and get over the top of it. And I'm sitting there going, I turned to him, I'm like, you're basically telling your son to like take on Mother Ocean in like a sumo wrestling competition.
Yeah.
Because in his mind, he's going to hear dad saying, jump over it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't compute to a 9-foot shore break wave where it's like, you can't jump that high.
Yeah, no, for sure, yeah.
And also the dad's talking to his kid in soaking wet denim shorts where it's like, dude, you're wearing 15 pounds of water on you right now. And that's how you kind of have to think, where it's like, okay, that guy's getting into the water. He's going really far out. He's wearing a lot of clothes.
Yeah.
Maybe go check on him. Be like, dude, maybe not. That's not a good idea.
Yeah,
like preventing the worst comes first.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like if I can get ahead of a situation, that's how I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
But as it comes to saving kids, the ocean's constantly changing. Never turn your back on the wave. You can have a kid that is killer, like does everything by the book, knows how to dolphin dive.
But it's unpredictable. Yeah.
It's unpredictable.
Yeah.
Like, exactly. So there's plenty of times where it's like, that's where some of the more gnarlier saves come into play, where it's like, because there's a point where a kid is like, do I run up the beach? Like a wave can be starting to break.
Yeah.
And it's like, do I have time to run up the beach? Or do I have time to turn around and dolphin dive? And that's where like the real, like,
and everything's happening so fast that you're
so
just like,
fast.
you have to be mentally just like on top of it. Because, right, they say like, dude, when things happen, you don't know how you're going to react. It's like fight or flight. You know? And, yeah. I've had moments like that where it's like, I was told to do this, but like my body's not doing it. So it's like, oh, so yeah, it's unpredictable.
Very unpredictable. And sometimes you have to be that little conscious voice in that kid's head. Like if you see the kid, like there's plenty of times where it's like the kid's fighting the current of the wave coming out as the wave's starting to crash. And he's trying to contemplate like, do I high knees up or do I turn and dive? And sometimes as an instructor, you're sitting there like, what am I going to do? You just go dolphin dive. You make the decision for them.
Yeah.
Where they just turn and they go under the wave.
Yeah, yeah.
Or it's like you see the kid make the decision and you're like, well, there's no real way. Like something's going to happen. But in a sense of like, maybe he runs up the beach and the wave just takes him and just washes him further up the beach. And you just pick him up by your feet because he just washed up that far of the beach. But as for like gnarly saves, somebody has a video of me during a competition at Capitola Beach where there was super gnarly shore break. And Capitola can get, any beach in Santa Cruz can get gnarly shore break, but most people don't believe it's going to happen in Capitola.
What is
shore break? Shore break is basically where the tide's super low, but there's a huge swell.
Oh, okay.
So these waves are just coming in, pitching up and being just massive faces where it's not just like a rolling break and then bring where it's just boom, boom.
Yeah.
Where you can literally run down, turn around, and just stand up there and a wave will be right over your head. And then you just either have to make the decision to dive in. It gets crazy.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to competitions where it's a set date, it's a set time, that's where you learn how all the beaches train, how all the beaches communicate.
Yeah.
Because in a competition, you don't want any kid to get hurt.
Yeah.
You want all the kids to have fun. So sometimes you have to like take the lead over another instructor, or if your beach is putting on it, you have to hold everybody to like a certain standard of this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it. But like you said, anything can happen in an instant.
Yeah.
I remember that day where it was a gnarly shore break day. And it's funny because like you just make it happen. Something clicks in you where it's like, I need to do something. But I remember it was a gnarly shore break. We were playing a game called Toots, which is basically musical chairs set to the water where we throw tennis balls out there. There's less tennis balls than there are kids. Yeah. And the kids have to lay on a line, face away from the water. And that comes, and I'll get into like why we do that. Yeah. And then goes through the start, heads up, heads down, go. And then they turn, have to enter the water, find a tennis ball. And then they can remain on the line. So it's just an elimination game down to the beginning. But when you get kids from different, like there's programs at lakes too, junior lifeguard programs at lakes.
Oh, okay.
So
I didn't know that.
That's a big eye opener sometimes. When it's like, oh, where are they from? Oh, they're from a lake. It's like, well, okay.
Dude, it's a whole different ball game.
Ball game.
The water's not moving, just sitting there.
So these kids you're just walking around and you hear these kids talking. It's like, oh, the water's so cold, or this and that. Or it's like, oh, I swam really fast. Like, I don't know why I felt like I was swimming fast. It's like, oh, well, that's fresh water, salt water. You're a lot more buoyant in salt water kind of thing and all that. But then it also comes down to, like, you can see the panic on their instructor's face where it's like, we didn't teach these kids this because they're not used to waves. So when it comes down to, like, a crazy save that I can remember, and it was something that was told to me down the road because I forgot about it. But there's video of me. They're filming kids playing Toots, and a kid panicked and did like the whole hesitation. There's a spot where it's like you can't hesitate, and that's where shit can go wrong. But so I guess it's like the kid I can barely remember it, but how it was described was the kid was running up the beach, a wave was about to crash over him. And I guess what happened was I just out of nowhere come sprinting in the frame of the camera, grab the kid in a dead sprint, grab the kid, throw him up over the top of the wave, and then I barrel through the wave.
Dang.
And he just lands on the other side, and I grab him, and then we kind of make it through the next set. And, I mean, is that training that I could do, or is that what I was trained to do? Probably not, but it got the job done.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, trying to think about it now, like if I come dead sprinting in, I would have had to have tackled that kid into the wave. Just somehow it worked out, but it's like they're like, oh, we got it on film. You threw that kid up and over the wave.
Dude, we gotta watch that.
That'd be fun. It'd be fun to find that.
Yeah,
I kind of remember the family.
Who knows? Maybe by the time he goes finds it, we edit this video, we'll put it in there. It's right here. Nah, but that's crazy. Nah,
but there's other situations too where you get. I think it was that same day because we'll have events where it's like, okay, distance swim. Yeah. Now we're going to send 60 kids out to do a swim course.
Yeah.
Stuff can happen. So it's like, how do you position your other lifeguards? How do you position safety swimmers?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so they're going to swim this line. The current's coming this way. So we're going to have the paddlers on the bottom side of the current because they can paddle against the current a lot faster than somebody swimming. And then how do you start the swimmers? We're going to start the swimmers higher up the beach. That way they're not swimming straight, getting pulled down and having to kind of go further to where they can start higher up the beach, angle to the buoy, and then they use the speed of the current this way, and then they angle. There's so many aspects, so many thought processes. But there was a time, it might have been that same day where, okay, now here comes a pack of 25 kids that just swam together the whole time, goofing off in their mindset of just like, oh, we don't really want to compete. We just want to get this done. Yeah. But then you're sitting there going, all right, well, here comes a huge set of waves. We can't have you guys all go in at the beach at once. So there was a time where I remember being on a paddleboard, literally with probably 20 kids holding onto the board, and I have to kind of control it, and they're floating over the wave with me, and it's like, whoa, and it's a great experience. It's a great program.
Would you ever, I mean, at this point in your life, would you ever go back and be an instructor? Is there a way where, I don't know if you're a director, if you're a higher position, would you ever go back?
If I were to go back, I would probably just get retrained up and be an instructor.
Oh, okay.
Because with Capitola, you have to go through training just to be an instructor. So you get taught through the program, and then as an instructor, you have to get like a Title 20, Title 22, which is more advanced first aid and stuff, and teaches you how to communicate with, EMT, like fire department and stuff like that. It's like, how do you make a call in or something like that and get to the point? Or it's just different ways of like, oh, a broken leg, here's a more advanced way of like all that. But I mean, if you were to go like, I think nowadays you have to be actually state certified and go down south to an actual state run program. Or if there's a certified I haven't been, I'll have to talk to our movie group buddy about it some more on like what he remembers. But I remember one summer where it was like, hey guys, like, it's not going to be more so community or Capitola based qualifications and stuff like that. We're gonna have to put you through the ringer a little bit. Because I remember with like when I had to try out to be an instructor, it was, all right, we're gonna do I'm gonna probably butcher the number. Maybe it was like a 1,500 meter swim, but it was 7 a.m. No wetsuit, against the current, however the conditions were. So it was from, if you know Capitola Beach and the Junior Guard Program, so it was South Beach, which is basically that small section of beach that are in between two of the jetties. Yeah. We had to swim off that out to one of the finger buoys, angle towards the tip of the pier, and then off the pier we had to angle in towards one of the coves. I forget exactly which cove it was, but we had to make that whole swim against the current early in the day. And you see people that are like not really junior guard. There was a couple of guys there that were in wetsuits, and we're like, hey, that's not fair. Like, and they're like, oh, well, I'm just, I want to audition.
Part of the program.
They just wanted to complete and try out and do it and stuff like that, because they know that if they pass all these, we're going to train them, and then they just become an instructor. Whereas like the rest of us, it's like, we're used to this. We had to do this in the program. We're all shivering and stuff, going blue. And after that swim, it was, I think we had to like kind of hike the coastline amongst the swell, come back to the pier. And then before we're even like warmed up and like, calmed down from that, it's like, okay, now we're going to do a sprint. That first one was more for endurance. This one's a sprint. Now you got to run the whole beach, swim the pier, run the whole beach again. And one of my friends passed out after the whole thing. Like, I remember looking at her going, she's cold. And then she just keeled over, but we're all shivering. Yeah. But that's also a part of the trial. It's like, can you handle the conditions and stuff like that? Because nothing's going to be perfect.
No, never is. I mean, that's how life is, right? It preps you for life. But would you ever go back?
I probably, if I wanted to, yeah. I could. I mean, if I wanted to, I could probably get all retrained up. I'd have to get back into a lot better shape, get back to swimming. But yeah, I could. If I wanted to, I could probably figure it out. I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to do it for the summer. Yeah, that's my summer gig. And honestly, like the Junior Guard Program amongst all the beaches is a great family. Like, as much we know what we do throughout the week. So the weekends, it was always like, oh, well, we're going to go to this beach's barbecue, or this person's throwing a little like get together. We're going to go there. Or it's like, we would hang out on the weekends and stuff like that, and kind of like share experiences. And that's a lot of camaraderie.
What do they call it? A group of people that do the same thing. It's fraternity. Yeah. Yeah. It's like a fraternity.
It's definitely a fraternity. You sit and you swap stories and stuff. Or there's sometimes, I remember a couple times like, hey, guess what? We're going to actually take the paddle boards. I don't think I did it, but there was one summer where the instructors literally put all their, and these are like, the more you stay in the program, the more cool stuff you can do, the more you're going to learn, the more equipment you get trained on. Or there'd be times where it's like, oh, you look down the coastline. Who are these guys? Binoculars. It's like, oh, here comes Santa Cruz Beach. Their older guys are coming down. They paddle the whole coastline down. It's like, that's what they did that day. They paddled from Santa Cruz Wharf to Capitola Wharf. And then they come and they hang out all day. It's like, what'd you guys do? Oh, we paddled from here to there. What do you guys want to do? Oh, we're exhausted. Oh, let's play dodgeball. Let's have some fun, or let's do this. So it's.
Wouldn't that be the life right there? That's the job. What do you do you do for a living? No, I just swim up and down the coast and play volleyball and
Yeah.
paddle and all that. It's like, okay.
It was definitely a fun job. Like I said, growing up, always sometimes being like, I don't want to do the junior guard program. I don't want to do it. Like, I just want to be at home and this and that. But it's like it's a small chunk of your day.
Yeah.
I mean, people think it's like an 8-hour day for school, but it's like no. Like Capitola Beach, every morning it's like bring out all the equipment. Kids help with that.
Yeah.
Sit in front of the office tent, get our kind of like daily briefing of what's going to go on.
Yeah.
Little quick warm-up run, 45 minutes of exercise, of push-ups, sit-ups, stretches.
Yeah.
And then, all right, guess what? Now it's for the middle of the day is we're going to do an actual workout.
Yeah.
Here's the workout. And after the workout, we're going to do some training, but it's a fun training where it's like you are working out, but you're learning something.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to do a swim run relay or something.
Yeah.
Or it's, hey, guys, we're going to do a rescue relay where it's, guess what? You get to go sit in the water freezing cold for 30 minutes, swim out there, sit there, and then we're going to send somebody out there to rescue you, and then you guys have to come back. It's like a lot of the learning comes with the fun if you just let it be fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Because like I said, like there was one summer where we got basically like calibrated to now like not community or Capitola-based, I don't know, from what was allowed to be an instructor from Capitola's point of view to then, all right, we're going to be statewide trained.
Yeah.
When I went through that training, that was crazy.
Yeah.
That was night and day compared to the rest. And I remember it was supposed to be like, okay, everybody's got to show up. And it turned out not a lot of people showed up.
Yeah, yeah.
But the lady, I can't remember the lady who was running it. She was in the Santa Cruz Fire Department.
Yeah.
And really nice lady, super badass lady. But, she put us through the ringer. It was partner up. All right, no wetsuits. Okay. C-spine, you got to carry your buddy out of the water. And the guy I was partnering was like 260, just yoked, massive. It's like, hold his C-spine, hold his neck, carry him up the beach.
Yeah.
All right, guess what? Now the waves are massive. You're going to go hold a piling under the pier and all this stuff. It's like, it was crazy.
Like this.
It was fun, though.
It sounds brutal. Like for me, like I've done wrestling, I did football, but what you're describing, like, and again, like it's the sand as it is hard to run on and all that. They say that way that running on the sand it gives you more of a workout.
We always say like because Capitola Beach is very small, so we basically be lapping it. So hard sand running, we would practice hard sand running, and then you practice soft sand running because you get to the backside of it by the lagoon. And, we always say you thrive in the soft sand.
Yeah.
Because it's like that's where it's going to make or break you. It's like you got to watch your footing and stuff like that. Like I remember one day I was just walking and just missed a little hole in the soft sand and my knee kind of gave out. I was like, whoop, I'm down.
Yeah.
But, soft sand running is gnarly compared to hard sand running. And it's like dude, or it's like sprinting on soft sand is like faster and more up on your toes and stuff.
We had talked about like, doing a podcast and you creating a podcast. Like, dude, you could literally just have a podcast about just everything junior lifeguards.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure there's someone out there. There isn't, like, someone figure it out, dude. You go out there and just talk about all the junior lifeguard stuff.
I think social media is slowly creeping into the junior lifeguard world. Just in the fact that there's the young kids who grew up more in the social aspect of, like, TikTok, Instagram, all that. Like, they're bringing a lot of that to the community. I think one of the guys over at Santa Cruz Beach made a small little clip video, and that went on, I believe, to be like used as like a commercial for I think he like filmed his truck.
Yeah,
I think it was one of the Mullen guys. There's a family over there in the Santa Cruz Beach, the Mullins, great family, amazing athletes, and just good people in general. Like they're life of the party, walk around and talk, but they were also athletic. And like me and one of them was can't remember, but I feel like the social all that is blowing up, like videos and stuff, and kids are I don't know,
Snapchat,
TikTok. In my brain a little bit is like, all right,
well, we grew up.
Don't forget to focus on what you're learning there, not like making a video. But there's a group program. I forget the clip of it was. I think Toyota picked it up or something like that. But like it was done right, and I'll have to get more into that and reach out to the the guy's sister who made the clip.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, there's cool stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, there could be a whole podcast about
Like
because it goes all the way down to L.A., Hermosa Beach.
Yeah.
L.A. County has a beach. Like junior guards is all over the world.
Yeah.
Like you go to regionals. Regionals from regionals
Dude,
is like in Texas sometimes.
What do they? Oh, is it a live show? What do they call it? Reality show.
Reality show? Yeah.
Lifeguard. That'd be.
Oh, they've done that before.
Have they?
There used to be shows called Ocean Patrol and stuff like that, Bondi Beach, Australia and stuff like that, where they show like what it means to be like a actual lifeguard. In the tower and stuff. It gets great, which is also a big thing in the program. When you get to the 16, 17-year-old, you actually have to do tower shifts where you get up in a tower with the lifeguards
and just hang up there.
Hang out up there. You get to watch everything, and they ask you questions, they quiz you, and then at some point somebody does a mock victim. You get a red cap.
Yeah.
So you're sitting there, and all of a sudden you're like, "What is that?" And then you see a guy flailing, and you're like, "Oh, is he drowning?" And then the other lifeguards might not know if it's for you to practice on or what. Or it's like, no, that's a real drowning victim. Go get him. But sometimes it's like, okay, or when you set it up for somebody, it's like, here's your red cap.
Yeah.
Go out over there. I want you to swim for a little bit, go underwater, count to 12, come up with the red cap, start thrashing. Like and that's where, like you said, it comes down to like that instinct. So what they teach you to what you're actually applying. Because I remember mine, and I still am embarrassed by it. Because I'll explain it. So I'm up on a tower. Mm-hmm. I'm up there doing my thing, getting quizzed, all this, looking around, and then I see my red cap, and I'm on a tower where the red cap is over here, not far off the beach. Basically, what I should have done was walked there.
Yeah.
I could have walked down the tower, went over down past the jetty, walked out there, and probably could have walked up, grabbed the guy, and pulled him into shore. Or just ran there and then swam out, rescued, and came back. Mm-hmm. But caught up in the moment trying to be like, oh, I got to get there. I got to show these guys I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I went off, swam around the jetty, and swam back to him, and then got him from the water side in. And then, it's an adrenaline rush because you want to do good. You want to have them, say you did a great job and give you good compliments. But it's also makes you learn really quick that you did something wrong. Because, I remember, as I pulled a guy out, he goes, I forget who the lifeguard was at the time. Really good guy as well. This was a long time ago. But he was just like, you could have walked here.
Yeah.
You could have done a beach approach.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, and it just dawns on me. It's like, you're right. I forgot to focus on the best way to do something.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what was the point? Like, if I had gone out and swam around this way, I made the time to get to him double.
Yeah.
And a wave could have smashed him into the reef. Where it's like, if I had met him on the beach, brought him in, then I would have been handling the waves. So it's lifeguarding on a crowded beach. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, no,
it's
for
pretty
sure.
trippy.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a beach guy, but I'm definitely I'm a little bit of everything, right? Like we talked about earlier, like some people are like mountains, some people are like beaches and all that, So
you're a hybrid.
I'm a hybrid. I like to be balanced, well balanced, right? Like Thanos, right? Perfectly balanced. So, but yeah, man, this is cool. Like I really appreciate you coming through. With this, and I mean, we could go on for hours.
Yeah,
right?
I can talk for days.
We can go for hours, but I guess we could say that this is part one of the Matt Callahan conversation. Part one, his junior lifeguard experiences and everything. Because I do want to get into the movies and all that. I think that we need a good sit down.
Or even if we, because you're expecting to pump out an episode once we get everything going in a process where it's film, edit, produce, put out.
I'm looking at one episode a week, right? And I had talked, right? There's a system, right? I want to, each season, right? There's fall, winter, summer, spring. I want to release 10 episodes per season. So right now, I guess we're in spring. I'm hoping to debut this first one April 5th. Are you
trying to make a little backlog of episodes so you can put out one, but then have time to record new?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to start logging them then.
Yeah. So right now, I mean, this is the second episode. I'm hoping to get 3 more in.
Let's get a month under your belt.
Yeah.
And then that way.
Start putting it out there.
Yeah, exactly. Because it'll come down to a system.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out that system, right? So, I was hoping to do it April 5th, put it out there, but I think it might be pushed back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
After I get a couple more interviews, I got a buddy of mine I'm going to interview who's an artist, and then a couple other friends that are active in the community and all that. So I'm trying to, yeah, you're right, just kind of record, edit, record, edit, and then just push them out there, and so I can have more time to like start,
or we can go about it like, because I'm okay in front of the camera, but I like the whole behind the scenes editing and all that, and like cue cards or something like that.
And that's what I say, guys. Like, Matt's kind of be the behind the scenes, helping me because when I was talking to my cousin, he kind of debriefs like how you could have asked him this, kind of follow up, just kind of those little things, right? That
we'll get him a little earpiece in there, some way where I can't talk into your system, but I can kind of get in your head or something like that. Where it's like, hey Eddie, ask him this or something like that.
Yeah.
Kind of keep the conversation flowing. Yeah. Because like I said, like in that first episode, it's like, oh, like I wish you guys had gone more into this route.
Detail,
and because it's like for me, my brain, I can jump around topics all the time. It's keeping it on track is kind of crazy.
And I do appreciate, like I said before, and I've told other people like the Joe Rogan podcast, how he has the way he sets it up, and how he kind of lets the conversation flow, and just kind of go and gives the person the stage, and we talked about that.
Yeah.
So like I'm trying to mirror a little bit of that, obviously with my own flair, my own, what this podcast is about and everything. So
I think knowing you for the long time since like you were at Bradley, so
I wasn't.
So junior high basically.
Junior high,
so Aptos Junior High to Aptos High
School.
But I mean, you can spark up a conversation with anybody. You're personable. I'm personable. And I think for you, it's just like you got to be able to kind of keep it going. Like if you see somebody talking about something that they're passionate about, like you got to just give like little Eddie cues to like, oh, keep going, or like expand on that and stuff like that.
And it's a process, dude. It's a learning. You don't learn that right away. And obviously my personality, like I said, I'm an outgoing person. And still there's a lot of stuff that I need to learn.
Yeah.
And so hopefully in time with this and more conversations with people and all that, dude, I'll be able to get this to where I want it to be, and I'll be, sky's the limit, like I said, and I have an image of what this thing is going to be, so one step at a time, one day at a time.
Or maybe if you want, it could be like, for me or something like that, it could be, I'll be behind the scenes, and then maybe it's like one Saturday of the month, it's like a week or a month in review with Matt, and I come in front of it. It's like, oh, that was a crazy one. Like, oh, we kind of review the whole month of interviews or something like that.
Yeah. So we're trying to figure out. Yeah, dude, it's endless, right? So we're just trying to find that format, the bread and butter.
Yeah. We're not trying to start perfect. We're trying to get to perfect.
Yeah.
And then at that point, nobody's perfect in general. Yeah. Everything can be better.
Well, what is it? Jerry Rice, the greatest player in NFL history, right? He's been dubbed the greatest. And
when he walks around with a handful of rings,
right?
It's like, that's Thanos status right there.
So Jerry Rice said, even though he was called the greatest of all time, he still felt that he had something to improve on.
Oh,
it doesn't matter how great you are, there's always something to improve.
Exactly.
And that makes the difference between average, basic, mediocre people and people who succeed in all that, So I always take that mentality, that what he says, always find the little things to improve, and well balance yourselves, because sometimes you're going to need to improve on this and something else might like, so you got to go back, never be content.
Yeah. Or you see like those people where it's like they're at the peak of their game, they're the best, and then they kind of slack off because I'm the best. And then that guy that's been fighting to get to his level comes back, and then this guy drops down and goes, you can get humbled quick.
Yeah, most definitely, And then we learned a lot of that, playing football and all that. And we'll, obviously in other episodes we'll talk about that and everything, But yeah, dude, just one day at a time.
Or keep an eye out. Eddie might help me with a podcast where he's behind the scenes and yelling at me. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, dude, it's 2024 is going to be a good year.
It's already a crazy year to begin with.
Yeah, it is.
Everything going. 2024 came in hot.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone thought 2023 was crazy and intense, but
this one's going to be.
But yeah, or we can sit and go into like we'll what we normally talk about in our
Yeah.
Instagram stuff. Like if I don't know.
Yeah, but I do want to get our movie club in here.
Yeah.
You know, as time goes, you know, we'll get more mics and more stuff, you know, but I
think
definitely
that'd
want to
be
get
cool.
I have an idea, right? We talked briefly, but like doing a podcast episode with my movie club while we're watching a movie and just narrating and talking about it as the movie goes,
Yeah.
you know, because that'd be pretty cool, you know. So just kind of there's ideas, you know, and there's so much we could do. So
Well, the goal is to get this into an actual production team. That'd be really cool.
yeah. So guys, keep an eye out, keep a lookout. So sky's the limit. Matt, thanks again, dude. Appreciate it.
No problem,
You know,
man.
guys, be on the lookout. If you guys haven't already listened to episode 1 with my cousin Aaron, you know, this is episode 2. And then we'll see who else comes on. So appreciate y'all. See y'all later. God bless. Peace out.
Take it easy. Have a good
Later.
day.